reason to have an Eida identity conversation really quick, but it's sort of separate from that. You're gonna disagree, and the story doesn't tell you this, and you're just gonna say, "Oh, but she was wrong." You know, just hear me out. Eida can control omnipotence. Okay, so there's two aspects of this. The first aspect is the one time she really wanted to use it to save Kawaki, she did without a flaw, and it didn't go
Well,
overboard. It worked flawlessly. It was a
the
perfect
problem is
execution of
you can't
omnipotence
say
control.
the problem is you can't say she wanted to use omnipotence. It's just she wished to help Kawaki and it just happened.
Yeah.
You can't prove that she wanted to use
Well, no, no, no.
omnipotence. She
But
just wanted to help
the
Kawaki.
point is, the one time she wished for it to be the case, it happened. There's no other time where she wishes to use omnipotence and she just doesn't.
Again, you can't say she wished to use omnipotence. You can
It's
only
not
say
about that
she
because
wished.
omnipotence is about the desire.
Yeah, she desired something to happen and it happened.
Exactly. And omnipotence is what allows it to happen. So as long as the thing happens, okay, fine.
But you can't say that
She's
she
in
desired.
control of the byproduct of what happens. She can't control omnipotence, she can control the byproduct. It's basically the same thing.
Well, the point is, it's just based off what she wants. So if it seemingly she needs to want it like a lot, as far as we can tell anyway, for it to activate the ability. But the point is, she has to actually want it. So she can't, like, it's like saying controlling your wants. Are you really controlling what you want? No, you just want it, and that just is the case. And
Okay.
so, and if you have to want it a certain amount for it to activate in Ada's case, you can't control that. You just happen to want something a certain amount. That just is the case. So you're not really in control in that case. But for Shibai, it might not matter how much he wants it. He doesn't need to want it a lot. He can want it a little and he can just do it, for all we know. Um that's kind of the difference.
So, respectfully, I disagree. There's three aspects of it. Those are the first two. The fact that she uses it whenever she wants, even if you disagree, even if subconsciously, I don't care. It's her desire. Whatever she desires, she gets when she gets it, whenever she wants it. She just doesn't want it yet if she doesn't use it. Second of all is the fact that she can actually like use it the way she intends to use it. So it's not like omnipotence blew up in Kawaki's face. No, it actually helped Kawaki to the degree that she wanted it to. The third aspect is actually in a way the opposite, to where she doesn't use it when she doesn't not want to, basically. It doesn't just go off randomly. It's not like Boruto's Karma Seal, to where it's just activating on its own. If she doesn't want it to activate, it just doesn't. From what I've seen, the story's not told me that it's told me, it hasn't shown me that she can't control it. What it has shown me in these three instances, that she controls it perfectly, and that's all I have to go based off of.
I mean, I don't agree because they make it like it's not that she's using it when she wants and not with using it when she doesn't want. It's just the ability activates when she wants something enough. And she herself didn't even know that before. So now, in the current state, when she has the knowledge of the ability, you could argue her control might substantially increase because she might understand I have to just want it enough. She might have the ability to control it better now, which is because of that knowledge. But before then, no, because she didn't even have the knowledge to do that. So I would never say she was in control before she got the knowledge. Now that she has the knowledge, I do think her control should probably at least somewhat increase, even if marginally, just because she has the knowledge and that can certainly help. But if again, this is an assumption, I'm not saying this is the case, but assuming there is like a threshold of amount of desire you need, I don't know that she can just control that. At least in her case, she might have a threshold. Shibai might not. Again, that's an assumption. I'm not saying that is the case, but assuming that is the case, I don't think she can control her desire amount. And so at that point, it is out of her control. It just is whether or not she happens to want it, and
But I
that's
think
it.
that is a control
But she can't
aspect,
just
though.
make herself not want something or want something more or less. Like, that just is the case, and there's nothing she can do about it.
If there's a minimum barrier to entry to do something, a limit to where if you're just not hitting that threshold, you're just not doing it anyways, that's not out of control. That's just not doing it in the first place. Like Kamui, you can control a 200-pound bench press, but if you only use 150 pounds of your muscles, you're not out of control. You're just not doing it.
The problem is, Udy, you can't control how much you want something. You just do.
Okay.
So how could that be? If and because there's a threshold, she can't consciously choose to use or not use the ability. In this case, it's just if she wants something enough, it will happen, whether she likes it or not. And if she doesn't want something enough, it won't happen, whether she likes it or not. In that case, I'm not calling that control. If it's a matter of she can choose to not activate it if she really wants something, or choose to activate it if she doesn't want it all that much, that is definitely control. You see the difference? And I'm not saying the version of there's a threshold and blah, blah, blah is the case, but I'm saying if it is the case, which it very well could be, I'm not calling that control because she can't control it. It just will happen in that case. It's the same as if Jigen just decided now is a good time to activate your ability for her. You know what I'm saying?
Personally, I still disagree. Sorry to say it. I just think everything I said is just fine. In terms of, this isn't what you were just saying, but in terms of her not having conscious knowledge of it, even if it's a subconscious thing, I don't think that matters. You don't have to have conscious knowledge of something to be in control of it. For example, you're in control of walking, but you aren't actively doing it. You're just subconsciously, like, passively doing it, but you're still in control of your walking.
But you are consciously walking.
Only when you're actively focusing on walking.
No, you're still consciously doing it.
No, you're not. You're conscious when it's happening,
yes,
but you're not thinking about it. No, you're not. It's just happening. Okay, then breathing. You're not always thinking about breathing if you really want to go that far.
No, but the difference is so let's just use like a heartbeat. I can't choose to stop my heartbeat. I can't, like, it just is happening. Whether I like it or not, the only way to stop it is to kill myself. I can't, otherwise the heart will be walking. I choose to start walking and I choose to stop walking. I don't need to think too hard about how to walk because I have muscle memory. You know, the same as shooting a basketball. Even at this point, I haven't played in several years, but let's just say when my height of basketball career, I know how to shoot a ball. I don't need to think too hard about the shooting form, but every time I shoot, I am choosing to shoot the ball. There's a conscious decision to shoot then. Whereas something like blinking, your body will do it for you, but you can also choose to do it or not do it in that case. But like the heartbeat, it just happens. If omnipotence is for Eida, like the heartbeat, it will just do it when it needs to, essentially. That's not control. I'm not controlling my heartbeat. It just is beating. Something like breathing is like blinking to where your body, you can both control it and also it will do it automatically. Again, it just depends. It depends on what it actually is the case. What Momoshiki says is that it's like the heartbeat. She's not controlling it. It just happens when she needs it to, more or less.
No, because I think the heartbeat's separate from you yourself. You don't have a desire of the heartbeat either way. I don't want to use desire in that way because I don't want you to misconstrue it to correlate to Eida's desire in that same terminology. But you don't have a will to have a heartbeat. It just happens on its own regardless of you.
But again, Ada doesn't have a will to have omnipotence. It just happened regardless.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want you to misconstrue the two terms.
Well, it's the same point though.
No, because I think regardless if Ada has knowledge of it, or if regardless of what Ada, even if she's not in
The
control of
knowledge
her own,
point was just
what
that
she wants to
when she
desire.
didn't have knowledge, there was my point is when she didn't have knowledge, there was no way for her to actively choose to activate the ability consciously in control because she never knew what she was doing, so she wasn't in control. It was just happening to her and she didn't understand it.
So let's compare it to Shibai for a
How can you
moment.
call it control?
Let's compare it to Shibai for a moment. If Shibai is fighting, I don't care who, someone relative to Shibai's brother, I don't care who, he can go into the fight using Omnipotence as a strategy to where he's thinking to use Omnipotence, and then as a byproduct, that thing happens. For Ada, she wouldn't think to use Omnipotence. She would think of the thing that Omnipotence would be the result of, and then through Omnipotence, it would happen. I think that's control.
But the thing is, no, but again, the problem is, again, does she even know? Like, for example, if she's thinking of, let's just say she's boxing with Damon, and she's like, I wish I had gloves on. I wish I had boxing gloves, and they just poof there, and she's like, wait, what? I wouldn't say that she was. That one is very borderline to where you could argue she was controlling omnipotence, but in that case, I wouldn't necessarily say she was controlling it. It just happened. Now, the moment she says, huh, now I wish I had pretty shoes on, and it does it, I'm calling that control. Like she now she knows what she's doing. Before it was an accident, which I wouldn't say was in control because it was literally an accident. And that is the case with all these other ones. It's an accident, and we don't even know if there's a threshold that she has to.
I'm not gonna say she's choosing to use Omnipotence, but I think she's definitely in control of it because it's still what she would do if she had the ability to do so some other way anyways.
No, but the point is she didn't.
Think about like this. Was Sasuke in control of his body when it moved on his own? Yes, because that's what he was going to do anyways.
No. Well, okay, but that one, I think Sasuke's just capping, bro. Sasuke wanted to save Naruto anyway. Like you said.
Okay, well then the analogy in this case is hypothetically he just did.
It wasn't a literal accident on Sasuke didn't accidentally save Naruto.
That's my point though. Eida didn't just accidentally save Kawaki. She wasn't planning on it, but she had the ability to do so. Hypothetically, if she didn't have Omnipotence, she had Omnipotence. It would have done the same thing. I don't care what the Omnipotence is. If it gave her the ability to save Kawaki at that moment, she would have done it.
No. What she was going to do in that case is utilize her love charm, the same way she did with Delta when she told Delta to attack Shikamaru, if I had to guess. That was probably her plan. I'm going to protect you. Nobody will attack you while I'm around, kind of thing.
But
which is using Omnipotence,
but that's controlling her love charm, which I still think is Omnipotence.
It's not controlling the love charm, it's taking advantage of the love charm.
Which is why I was using the Shibai thing, because he's over-relying on it in that case. He's going into the fight with that as the tactic beforehand. In this case, I don't think you need to do that.
In this case, no, but in the case of the love charm thing, again, she's not controlling the love charm in that case. She's just taking advantage of the thing that was already there.
Comparing it to like Boruto's teleportation in the Kara arc, it just happens randomly, or he can't choose when to do it, but when he needs to do it, he does it consistently.
But Boruto wasn't in control of his karma teleportation powers at that time. He literally went to a random place. He didn't even know where he was going.
Well, I don't think where he was going was the point. The point was just teleport him somewhere else.
It doesn't
part of
matter,
the village.
but he wasn't in control. It just happened, and it happened in his favor.
That's fine, but why did it happen? Because Boruto wanted it to happen. It just didn't coincidentally happen at that exact moment.
Yeah, but again, it doesn't matter if he wanted it to happen. He wasn't in control. It was an accident that worked out in his favor.
It wasn't an accident. Boruto
He couldn't,
intended to do it. Boruto
but
might
he
not have been
couldn't
in control,
consciously
but
do it on.
Boruto controlled it.
No, he didn't. Okay, he wasn't in control of that power. He couldn't use it on a whim whenever he wanted. The same goes for Eida. It's the same thing, except it's even worse in Eida's case.
I agree. I think Boruto thinks he can't do it normally, so he can't do it normally. When Boruto needs to do it, he realizes he has to do it, and so it does happen because he actually is in control. It's basically the true self. That's his true self. It's where he is in control of it. He just doesn't realize it.
Okay, going with that analogy, that means that as long as Boruto isn't being in his true self, he's not in control. So if Ada's not being her true self, she's not in control by that analogy. Since she's currently not, complete character, her identity isn't fully fleshed, she's not being her full true self, she's not in control yet, which means she would be in control in the future, but not yet.
My own thematic arguments against me. I didn't even say, okay, whatever. In this case, this goes back to not only popular fan theories of why why Sarada and Sumire are immune, because Eida wants them to be her friends. In that case, that's another instance of her controlling it.
I think in that one, I like the idea of it going even stronger. She needs them to be her friends.
That's
fine.
That
just is even better.
I think she can also control the love charm. The moment she doesn't need it anymore, that's our narrative theory, is that it's just going to deactivate. It's just going to turn off. And then our theory of omnipotence, it's strength correlating to Eida's control, that as well. Or subconscious desire,
well, it's not a
say.
Control.
Or desire. Yeah, I used the wrong word,
because
my bad.
In that
but
case,
I think that is control.
Like, I see, it's more just like, I don't call it, I mean, again, this is semantics.
It's consistent with Eida, is the thing. Her true self. Even if she isn't her true self. You could say Eida's not consistent with Eida in that case. False Eida isn't the same as true Eida. But then, okay, that's fine. I'll compromise with you on this. False Eida can't control omnipotence. True Eida can control omnipotence.
That very well might be true. We have to see. But I don't think Eida is currently at true Eida. I think she's currently at false Eida.
But I think when she needs to use omnipotence, such as when Kawaki was back into a corner, I think at that moment she became true Eida for a moment. Because she herself was also back into a corner. Which is why she used omnipotence.
Yeah, because in that one's case, because Eida, this is my personal opinion anyway, Eida was listening to Kawaki and more or less it's like, no, Kawaki, you are not this piece of trash that you're saying you are. Like, I fell in love with the Kawaki who believed he was the opposite of trash, a worthy human. Like, I don't want to listen to this anymore. That's not true, Kawaki. And then because she truly felt that way, omnipotence essentially made the world believe that. Then, of course, now that Kawaki, though, is almost hiding behind that, again, not being his true self, I think that almost it's like a turnoff to Eida. And it's almost like she might not realize it, but it's almost like she wishes omnipotence didn't work because of that. He's like, I don't want this. I want Kawaki to be himself almost. So it's almost like in her heart, perhaps, not that she thought this would be the case because she didn't know, but assuming she knew, it would be like, oh, I thought this role reversal would make Kawaki be himself again, but it didn't work. It actually made it worse. So now I want it to go away, kind of thing. Not that she knows all this, but imagine it that way.
So going back to the heartbeat thing, that's relevant here too, because again, I think it's separate from you. It's its own thing. It's almost autonomous. So for example, like if you go out on a run, it doesn't matter whether your false self, your masked self, your shielded self, or your true self, your heartbeat's going to go up no matter what, regardless which version of you are. And you can't control that. It's going to do it regardless if you want it to or not. And you can't control
Yeah,
by
but
how much it does. You can control how much you run, but it's going to be elevated regardless. You can't control the heartbeat itself.
yeah, but again, that is also assuming that the true self compromise is even true.
I'm sure it is. Because that goes with like
But
all of our theories regardless.
well, it really, more than anything, it's just a semantic argument over the word control. That's all it is. It doesn't actually matter
Yeah.
to the rest of what we're saying. It's
Yeah, I
just a
think-
matter of, is that technically in control? Yes or no? That's all it is.
I
While we're
think
doing it.
technically we're agreeing. We're just saying different things.
Yeah, it's over the word control.
Yeah.
We're semantically arguing whether this is technically control. Does it actually matter to the rest of what we're saying? No, because whether we call it control or not, the narrative arguments we're making are the same. That was the point. Like,
Yeah. Okay.